Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It's Thursday, March 9th, and we are here answering your financial questions. If you have one, then all you need to do is hop onto our website. That website address, if you haven't memorized it by now, maybe you're a new listener, just go to jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button, then you'll get a form, fill it out. Now, if you are shy, if you really don't think you're going to be coming on the program with us, give us a lot of information, maybe even more than you think we need. I'll read around it. And I love the color. So if you can give us like fun factoids, that's also good. jillonmoney.com, Contact Us button. While you're on the website, few things to keep in mind. Mark, how is our free weekly newsletter subscription? What is the number? Do you have it for me? You don't have to put it on the air. I just want to know. Well, that's a pretty nice number. I'd like it to be that next round number, obviously. So also, here's something interesting of the number of people who subscribe to the newsletter. If we could just get a fraction of them and have those folks subscribe to our brand new service, which costs a few bucks, that would be awesome. Like if we had 10% of our newsletter subscribers, just 10%, sign up for Jill on Money Live, those 10% would have access to quarterly live webinars and more special content that is going to come out. So, Mark, I was thinking about some other people because our first guest is none other than the fabulous Ed Slott, who is amazing. So anyone who has a question or thinking about a Roth IRA, a conversion, rules about retirement, filing taxes, March 30th is our first live webinar session. And it's Ed Slott. Here's other people that we're thinking about. Cal Newport, we'd love to get him on. We're talking about Dan Pink. Maybe Christine Benz from Morningstar. Maybe Annie Duke of Thinking in Bets fame and other great books. And anyone else you think. So is there a guest that you'd love to see live with us? Give us a holler. Let us know. Just go to jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button. So free weekly newsletter, great subscription level. Now, if you've already subscribed to that and you've gotten it for free for all these years, how about spending $35? That's it, $35 for a whole year of content. Check it out, okay? Okay, so right now let's do some emails because so many of you have questions. So this is from Anonymous who says, "Hi, Jill and Mark. I've learned so much from your shows. Thank you so much." Okay, here we go. My husband was sold an annuity. Attached is the year-end statement, which is fantastic, from our financial advisor at the time. I suspect he was more of a salesman than an advisor. And this was in 2010. It was a rollover from a 401k. Okay, we are wondering what to do with it. I like the idea of having some guaranteed income, which would supplement our projected Social Security of about $5,600 a month. With our mortgage paid off by then, we could very well live on $7,000 a month. I'm 60. My husband is 61. We're active. We're in great health. Right now, gross household income, $200,000. He's the main breadwinner by far at this point. Mortgage balance is $165,000 on a 10-year fixed 2.5% mortgage, 2.5%. The house value is around $3 million. It's our largest asset by far, and we plan to stay. We love it here. We also owe about $450,000 in capital gains taxes on the home. On capital gains taxes? Wait a minute. There's no way that's capital gains taxes. It must be they have $450,000 of capital gains on which long-term capital gains would be assessed. They've got no debt except the mortgage. They've got a home equity line of credit that is available. They've never used it. 2 kids who are grown. In addition to the annuity, they've got $900,000 in traditional retirement accounts. We fired the advisor. We manage those accounts now. Husband is funding 401k up to the match 9% total. We max out his health savings account, and we can now fully fund our IRAs. I'm funding a Roth, and that will give us about $24,000 in Roth money. $85,000 in emergency savings, $10,000 in I-bonds, few $1,000s in brokerage accounts. We're working on building it up. Appreciate any words of encouragement as I worry, especially when I hear your callers list all their hefty assets. Most are in way better financial shape. Maybe they're not. Okay. So Anonymous. So Mark, I have the attachment here. It is a variable annuity. And remember what she said. She said that this money was qualified money, meaning it came from a retirement account. And at the end of last year, it was worth $167,000. Okay. The only thing it does not actually show me, I mean, since you bought it in 2010, I think you probably are done. This is probably completely, perfectly sound and no surrender charges. So just to be clear, they have 900,000. She wants to know, should they annuitize it, right? So that could be a way to make this okay. That's great. But just remember, if you were to annuitize this, you will have to pay tax on it. None of this money has been taxed yet. And I would urge you to consider just what your tax liability is going to be, right? So I don't know. I'm not sure you said exactly when you think you're going to retire, but if you're both 60 and 61, if you are thinking, well, we're making 200 grand now. If you annuitize this now, then all that money is taxable. If you annuitize it maybe when you both stop working and you're 67, that could certainly work. You could try to get the money out before you have to start, you're forced to take your required minimum distributions. So then the question really becomes, how do we use this annuity? It's not the worst thing in the world now that the fees are gone, but how do we use it in a tax perspective? Because you do have a lot of money in traditional accounts, right? So you have this 100 and something thousand, it's probably 200,000 by now, plus 900,000 in retirement accounts. It may be really good for you to actually annuitize this, to start getting the money out, because when you're 75, you're going to start getting some big money out of these accounts. You're going to be forced to take that money out. And in fact, I think you guys are really in good shape. I really do, because you keep saying, oh, we don't have as much as everyone else, but you don't spend as much. You're doing pretty well. So I think even if you have the house and you want to stay in the house, the $3 million house, you know what? It's fine. You don't have to sell it. It may be worth keeping for a while. I'll tell you what I wouldn't do. I wouldn't necessarily put more pre-tax money away. Can your husband switch to a Roth 401k? That's number one. Number two, what I would do is I would look at the annuity and say, hey, how can I get this money out? How do I annuitize it? Should I do it over 10 years? Should I do it so it is joint with my wife, right? And you want to see the different options. Once you annuitize it, the money will come out and you can start to manage that tax liability. I just wouldn't do it while you're working. I don't think you have a problem. You didn't blow it with the annuity, Anonymous. But what I do think is we have to absolutely manage this so that you are more in control of how the money comes out. Okay? I hope that helps. Follow up with us. Okay. This is a message from Joanna. Joanna writes, you and Mark have helped me in so many areas of my financial life. I'm back with another question or two. I hope that's okay. Is it possible to do a backdoor Roth if I already have pre-tax funds in my Vanguard rollover IRA brokerage? Do I first need to convert any of the funds in my Vanguard IRA, the rollover IRA, to a Roth? Yes. You cannot. So it's not that you can't do it. It's just that it doesn't work as well to do a backdoor Roth if you have an existing IRA account, whether it's a rollover IRA or just a contributory IRA, because you would be subject to the pro rata rule, and it's really a pain in the neck. So 2 things to consider. 1, you have a rollover account. Can you roll it into your current 401k? If the plan allows it, that's really easy to do. That's the way to do it. She says, I have a Roth account at Vanguard, so everything would stay within Vanguard. The idea here is don't convert unless that rollover account is moved either into your existing retirement account or you convert that first. And you can only do a $6,500 max for each of you for this year. Okay. This is a message from Michael. Hi, Jill and Mark. The company I worked for recently split into 2 separate firms. I now work for the new company, and I've got a cash balance pension from the old company. It's worth $78,000, and it currently earns 2.25% annually. It feels like I can put this money to work by rolling it over into my 401k. What are your thoughts? Well, usually the cash balance pension came from an old pension plan that was really good, and then they kind of stopped it. So the two things that I'd want to know is, number one, will your company allow this? You should be able to do it. I think no problem. That would be fine to do it. But the other is that 2.25% guaranteed until retirement? Is there any other calculation that's applied later? Is it an accumulation phase versus something else? Usually it's just that 2.25%. So that would be fine to do that. It sounds like that cash balance plan could be rolled over, and happily you should do that. Jeff writes, we talked after my wife passed away in June of 2021. I've just filed my 2022 taxes, and I felt the impact of filing single for the first time in 40 years. My adjusted gross income was $150,000 due to Social Security survivor benefits, a pension, my wife's pension with a survivor clause, and investment returns. So this puts me in the middle tier for IRMA. Oh boy. This is the calculation for Social Security, gang. And if you listen to our recent episode with Mark Miller, we talked about IRMA and how a lot more people are being subject to IRMA, not just because of retirement income, but also because more and more people are working later into their lives. So the IRMA calculation is kind of screwing with our boy Jeff. And he said, would donor advised funds be a possible way to bring down the taxable income? Can the assets come from post-tax brokerage account, traditional IRA, or either? Any other thoughts? Okay. If you were to do a donor advised fund, it could potentially come from any of the assets that you'd like in a brokerage account. It would not come from a traditional IRA. I think you're not yet 70, but when you're 70 and a half, that's when you could potentially use the traditional IRA to gift to charity. So that would be an idea also, because then that will bypass you. So I think that's it. The donor advised fund can help you. You can basically use your investments. You can fund it, but not from the IRA, only from your post-tax brokerage account. Okay. Now, Jeff finishes with, on a casual note, I could go either way with the podcast renaming, but I like the picture better. It does raise the issue that you should change the picture of the Jill on Money podcast and include the world's greatest producer, bringing Mark out in the open. Mark, how do you feel about that?
I like it. Let's go.
Yeah, I like it too. Let's bring some. We're gonna have to wait till Carrie comes back into town. We'll do some photo shoots. Okay. Jason says, just a comment. With all the Bitcoin imagery on your new podcast image, I thought you were a self-proclaimed wimp. I'm just messing with you. I like the Paramount overlords overstepping who think symbols of Bitcoin will attract new listeners. I didn't even look at it. Wait a second. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's so stupid. They're so dumb. Oh, we'll have to do it on that podcast and embarrass them, right? Thank you for writing on this podcast. This is the Jill on Money podcast. That's the Money Watch with Jill Schlesinger podcast, where clearly younger people think that putting Bitcoin on our image will make us hip. Ha! All right, that is it for today. Thank you so much for listening. We are always so appreciative of you, our audience, and thank you for paying attention. Look, more than I did, frankly. So if you'd like, don't forget you can buy the book, The Great Money Reset. It's right there on the front door of our website, or buy it in any airport, which I'm very excited. People keep sending me pictures from different airports. Leave us a rating and review on Apple and put your hands metaphorically on someone's back. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.